Do you want to guarantee that you have a good set of requirements up front before you begin to design? The QFD method is a very robust way to ensure that you know what you need to accomplish. This brief introduction tells you why and how. Hello, I'm David Ullman. I've been designing products and teaching others how to design products for over 40 years. My book, The Mechanical Design Process, in print since 1991, is in its 6th edition and is used internationally as a standard for product design education. Recently, I've been using the Scrum framework to help manage the design process and wrote a book on this also. Scrum is an Agile framework for improving design team communication and helping the team cope with uncertainty so they can make sound design decisions. Whether using traditional plan design methods, the Scrum framework, or a hybrid of the two, understanding the product's requirements is very important in terms of design time, cost, and product quality. In these videos, I weave together the planned with the Agile to give you a solid framework for developing good hardware requirements. By hardware, I mean everything but software. However, what I will tell you here will interface well with your software colleagues. In the video Requirements Development for Hardware Design, the 4 Key Conversations, I introduce what needs to occur when developing requirements. These key conversations answer the questions: what is to be designed, for whom, what does it need to do, and how will you prove the need is met? In this video, I will introduce Quality Function Deployment, often called QFD or the House of Quality, a widely used and mature tool that supports the conversations in a structured manner during product planning. The third video, Agile Requirements for Hardware Design, is focused on developing requirements on the fly, agilely, and the final video, Deciding How to Develop Hardware Requirements, brings QFD and the Agile methods together to give guidance on how to balance the upfront planning with the Agile, the best use of time and resources developing hardware requirements. Quality Function Deployment has been in use for over 25 years as a tool to develop and organize product requirements. While not always used exactly as presented here, the rooms involved do enable the 4 conversations and more. QFD is shaped like a house with 8 rooms, and so it's often called the House of Quality. As shown in the figure, these rooms are in 5 broad areas supporting the key conversations plus 1. I will give a brief introduction to the rooms in this video, and they are detailed in Chapter 6 of the Mechanical Design Process. As an example of a fully completed QFD, consider this one for an aisle chair, a wheelchair that fits down the aisle of a commercial airliner. This is a very large QFD. If the product being designed will allow it, the more detail here the better. But most QFDs are nowhere near this extensive. More on how much effort to expend on them is the topic of the 4th video. While the QFD does not explicitly support the first conversation aimed at answering what is being designed, each of the rooms ensures that the team and the customers are all focused on the same product, system, or module. Room 1 of the QFD supports a second key conversation and is focused on identifying the customers for the product. For hardware products, there may be many different customers, where a customer is everybody that comes into contact with the product during its lifetime, plus all adjacent systems and modules. Room 2 of the QFD is the first part of the 3rd conversation, answering the question, what does it need to do? Here, the goal is to find the requirements in terms of the voice of the customer. A sample shown here is for transferring the passenger from their personal chair to the aisle chair. There are 3 basic types of requirements to consider: non-functional, such as regulatory, government, company, or team requirements; functional; and spatial. Functional requirements use action verbs. Here, for the aisle chair, a small part of the functional requirements have been reduced to a hierarchical format. QFD's 3rd room refines what is needed by identifying how important each requirement is in terms of the customers. This gives the design team a sense of priority, which is which of the requirements to address first and which are nice to have if time allows. The 4th room in the House of Quality is an assessment of how the customer's needs are fulfilled now. This is not considered a key conversation, but is very important. An old saying, copying one person is plagiarism, copying many is good design, applies here. It is important to study the prior history and competitors' products to both help generate ideas, but of equal importance, to identify weaknesses in similar products to discover market opportunities. Careful work here can uncover additional requirements. The QFD is very strong in its support of the fourth key conversation. How will you prove the need is met? This is addressed in 4 separate rooms. The results of Room 5 is a set of engineering specifications, the measures used to confirm that the requirements are met. Room 6 ties the voice of the customer to the measures. Room 7 develops the targets, and Room 8 the interrelationships between the measures. All of these combine to give a set of testable measures and targets. How to get the most out of these rooms is well covered in the text. The QFD is a very well-respected method for developing requirements, measures, and targets. It is a strong tool for finding the voice of the customers and organizing it. It is very strong for developing engineering specifications, measures, and targets that prove the customer's needs are met. It is very strong in supporting understanding the competition to find market opportunities. A weakness is that it is generally done up front during planning and is not updated as learning occurs. The QFD is also limited to requirements that have a high level of certainty. Where QFD is good for planning, the Scrum framework and other Agile methods use stories, just-in-time methods that are good in uncertain situations. This is the topic of video 3 in this series on developing requirements for hardware design. In part 4, I will tell you how to balance the use of both planning and Agile tools to their best advantage. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss the next video on hardware design best practices.